Thank you so much for participating in this webinar. My name is Dr. Cihan Çobanoğlu. Okay, I would like to just start the webinar by going through a little bit about the Association of North America Higher Education International. The mission of ANAHEI as a not-for-profit organization is to promote and encourage a global culture at member institutions and globalize student and faculty successes, enhance global initiatives among member institutions, and deepen the global engagement. Programs of ANAHEI, as you can see, is we have Visiting Scholars Program, Partnerships Programs, Journals, Conferences, Awards, and Distinguished Lecture Series. So one of the open access journals that ANAHEI has is the International Interdisciplinary Business Economics Advancement Journal, ibajournal.org. When we say open access, we mean that this is 100% open access, free to submit, free to access all the articles here. Also, we have a Journal of Global Education and Research journal, anahei.org, which is the journal of another journal of ANAHEI. We also have several conferences. One of them is Global Education, Global Conference on Education and Research, which just happened about a month ago in Sarasota, Florida. We are having another conference coming for IBA Conference, International Interdisciplinary Business Economics Advancement Conference. That's going to take place 18-23 November 2017, and the website is ibaconference.org. We will also have Graduate Student Research Conference in Business and Economics. This also happened in May in Sarasota. And also Global Conference on Services Management is the other conference of ANAHEI, which is going to take place in Volterra, Italy on October 3rd through 7th. Also, ANAHEI has some distinguished lecture series. We featured Professor Ravidar from Yale University. That was in May 22nd. Also, Dr. Latent was our distinguished lecture speaker at the end of May last month. And soon we are having Professor Jason Shaw. He is the editor of the Academy of Management Journal. He's going to talk on July 20th. Also, we have the lecture series, which is what we are having the first one right now. As you can see, that we have the first one today, WarpPLS, an introduction by Professor Mostafa Rasoolimanesh. And also coming up is the Professor Jason Shaw, as we said, July 20th. And we also will have another one on innovative analytical approaches in tourism and marketing studies by Hussein Olia, Dr. Hussein Olia. That's on July 28th. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker today, WarpPLS in introduction. Dr. Mostafa Rasoolimanesh is a lecturer and senior researcher at the School of Housing, Building and Planning, University Sains, Malaysia. He has published several articles in high-impact SSCI index journals such as Tourism Management, Journal of Travel Research, Journal of Sustainable Tourism, Cities, Habitat International, International Journal of Tourism Research, and Asia Pacific Journal of Tourism Research. Most of his papers, published papers, utilize PLS-SEM method. Dr. Mostafa has recently also collaborated with Prof. Ned Koch, developer of WarpPLS software, and their work was published in Tourism Management Perspectives and Journal of Sustainable Tourism. Dr. Mostafa has conducted several workshops on PLS-SEM using WarpPLS. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Mostafa to have his presentation. Dr. Mostafa, please take it over from here. I just stopped sharing my screen. If you please share your screen, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cihan. You can hear me, yeah?
Yes, we can hear you, and I can see your screen. If you were to please make your presentation big by clicking on, yeah, that one. Perfect. Wonderful.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk about PLS-SEM and WarpPLS in this webinar. I would like to thank ANAHEI for providing this excellent platform for sharing. That is very good, and I'm happy tonight because now I'm from Malaysia, and now it's tonight in Malaysia. It's night, and I can share and talk about WarpPLS. Good morning and good afternoon and good evening to all participants from around the world that attend to this webinar. Very briefly and very quick, before introducing WarpPLS, I want to talk about PLS-SEM and some basic of the PLS-SEM, and then go to WarpPLS. Structural equation modeling as a second generation of analysis technique used because of two main reasons instead of first generation of analysis technique. The first reason to use SEM is structural equation modeling can deal with the latent variable instead of observed variable. The first generation work with the observed variable, but by SEM we can work with the latent variable that cannot measure directly, like satisfaction, loyalty, and this construct, and need to measure by some indicators, that indicators of observed variable. And another reason to use SEM is we can perform a model including different layers, but it's not possible by first generation of analysis. So based on these two reasons, we prefer to use second generation of analysis and SEM. There are some basic concepts in SEM when we use SEM that need to get familiar with this basic. In the model, when we use SEM, there are two the different definition for construct and variable. We use exogenous and endogenous construct instead of independent variable and dependent variable in first generation. Also, inner model and outer model. Outer model in SEM refer to the relationship between observed variable and indicators and the construct. So when we say outer model, it's referred to the relation between items and construct. So we talk within a construct. And when we say inner model, and the inner model referred, or a structural model, refer to relationship between construct. So here, the relationship between construct referred to inner or structural model, and a relation between observed and the construct referred to outer model. Also, we can see here, this is referred to outer model, and this relationship referred to inner model and structural model. But for measurement model or outer model, we have two types of construct: reflective construct and formative construct. And need to know about these two different types of construct in SEM. Reflective construct refer to a construct that the items are exchangeable, and each item separately and each indicator separately can represent the meaning of construct. So the items in reflective construct are similar to each other, and the equation that can represent reflective construct is this equation. We call the relationship between construct and each item loading in reflective construct. But the formative construct is the items together can form the specific construct, and the items are not exchangeable. So the items are different features and different aspects of a construct. For example, satisfaction here, we want to measure satisfaction based on two sets of items. Here, we want to measure satisfaction about hotel based on these three items. I feel well in this hotel. I'm always happy to stay in this hotel, and I recommend this hotel to my friends. These three items are exchangeable, and we can use each item separately to measure satisfaction. If we remove one of these items, the meaning of satisfaction won't change. But in other side, we measure satisfaction based on another items and different set of items. These items refer to the quality of service in this hotel, and the personnel is friendly, and the room is well equipped, and they refer to equipment of rooms. So we measure satisfaction based on these items from different perspectives. So these items, each one represent one specific perspective of satisfaction. So each item cannot be removed from this construct. And if we remove one item, it means we lost some part of definition of satisfaction. So this is differences between a reflective and formative construct. But recently, the literature introduced another type of construct called composite construct. And this composite construct, some of the literature categorize the composite construct under formative definition and under formative construct, and define formative construct on two different types, composite and causal construct. And this type of formative construct called causal formative, and composite is another type of formative construct. So this type of construct also recently introduced to the literature of SEM. Okay. For formative construct and reflective construct, we need to use different criteria to assess reliability and validity. So it's very important to understand the concept and the type of construct. Because if we don't understand the type of construct, it may be conclude in biased result, and so the results is not reliable if we have misunderstanding about formative and reflective. And the last things that I want to very quick refer to it is the difference between PLS-SEM and covariance-based SEM. There are two types of structural equation modeling. The traditional type is covariance-based structural equation modeling, and the variance-based SEM is for recent years, and PLS is one type of variance-based SEM. Covariance-based SEM focus on minimizing the differences between covariance matrix, the covariance matrix from the model and covariance matrix from the data. So we try to minimize the differences between these two covariance matrices. And because of this, in covariance-based SEM, we focus on goodness of fit criteria, because based on goodness of fit, we need to find when we aim to minimize the differences between these two matrices. But the PLS-SEM focus on maximizing the variance of dependent variable. So the goal of these two type of SEM is totally different. And when we talk about PLS, so it means that the objective, the goal of this study is maximization of variance of dependent variable. Is different with covariance-based SEM. The important reason and the first reason to choose PLS-SEM or variance-based SEM is referred to the objective of a study. If the objective of a study is theory development and we need to use PLS-SEM and variance-based SEM. But if the objective of a study is theory testing, we need to stick to covariance-based SEM. But there are some differences, other differences between two types of SEM. PLS-SEM can deal with the non-normal data and smaller sample size, but CB-SEM need a larger sample size, and the data should be normal distributed. And also PLS-SEM can handle a complex model and a model including a combination of reflective and formative construct that covariance-based SEM cannot involve and cannot handle this type of complex model. So there are some differences between these two types of SEM. There are different software to perform covariance-based SEM like MOS, Israel Plus, and for variance-based SEM and for variance-based SEM and PLS, there are also different software like WarpPLS, SmartPLS, Odd&Co, and other different softwares. And in this webinar, we will talk about WarpPLS. Okay. WarpPLS, let's start with WarpPLS. Okay. To install the WarpPLS, you need to go to WarpPLS website. And in WarpPLS website, you can download the latest version of WarpPLS. The latest version of WarpPLS is WarpPLS 6. WarpPLS is a nonlinear PLS-SEM software that was developed by Professor Ned Koch and developed by Professor Ned Koch in 2009, and and a different version of WarpPLS were developed during 2009 until 2016, and the latest version, WarpPLS 6, was released on June of 2017, this year in June. To install the WarpPLS, you need to go to WarpPLS website, and here in the WarpPLS website, click on, if you didn't install WarpPLS, you need to click here and download the WarpPLS software. And but if you already installed the WarpPLS version 2 to version 5, just click on a very small file here, and you can run and install WarpPLS 6 in your computer. You can have WarpPLS 5 and WarpPLS other version and WarpPLS 6 together in your computer. When you install, when you download and install WarpPLS, when you open the WarpPLS software, you can see this window in WarpPLS, and if you are the first, if this is the first time that you use WarpPLS, you can install and start a 3 months trial version of WarpPLS, and after 3 months you need to purchase the license for 1 year. So when you start, just need to proceed to use the software. I will try to create a very simple model and show you different features of WarpPLS and how we can interpret the result of analysis. So let's start. WarpPLS is a 5-step, need to proceed 5 steps. It's very simple. And after proceeding these 5 steps, you can see the result and interpret the result creating by WarpPLS. So proceed to step 1. In step 1, you have some options: open or create a project. If you have, if you already have a project, so just click on open project file. If you don't have, you need to create a new project. Okay. You click on the folder you want to save your project. Okay. Webinar Warp. Okay, save. And then go to step 2. In step 2, when you click step 2, you can read the data file. WarpPLS can read the different extension of data file, Excel file and text file, tab delimited file or comma delimited file. So click on read for file from file, and I have a data file here, but here the extension is text. I change to all file, and I can read my Excel file from here. Okay. Read the data file. Just click on next and finish. Your data file appear here, and you can check the data file. Is it okay? You can click on yes and proceed to step 3. In step 3, do some pre-processed data like check for missing value and zero variance and other problem maybe happen in your data file. And finally, standardize your data and click OK. And you can see standardized data in step 3. Click yes and go to step 4. Step 4 is the step you can create your framework and your model. Define SEM model. Go to this window, and in this window you have a different option to create your model. The first option is create latent variable. So based on this option, you can create latent variable in your model. Create latent variable and click here. Pop up this window and you can see here the indicators from your data file. I want to create a model with the three construct: positive perception of resident, negative perception, and support, and want to see the effect of positive perception, negative and support, positive and negative perception on support for tourism development. Positive perception, here I have 5 indicators for positive perception. Just click add and add the indicator to this window. Okay, say appear positive perception here. Create negative perception and add the items to negative perception. 5 items and save. You can move the construct by click by cursor and change the location of. And the last one is support for tourism development, and the items for support is here. We have 8 items for support. Just click on add and add all items. Just one thing here. Here you can select reflective or formative types of construct. So the default is reflective, but if the construct is formative, just you can click here and change the type of construct. This construct is reflective and save. So we have 3 constructs that we already created. Other option here is a direct link option. Click and create direct link. Click first construct and click on second one. The arrow will be appear. And again, create link. So now your model is completed and you created the model, simple model, and now we want to perform a PLS analysis for this model. In this window, just save model and close.
Dr. Mostafa, I just want to jump in here. I want to tell our attendees, if they have any questions, they can click on the chat button and type here, and I'm reviewing them. If there's any question, you can ask Dr. Mostafa. This way we can try to make it interactive, but of course, at the end of the session, we're going to open up for your questions, just to remind everybody.
Okay, thank you. And after creating the model, you proceed to step 5. Step 5 is perform SEM analysis. In this step, WarpPLS perform the analysis, and you can see the result in this window. Okay, here you can see the result of your analysis for effect of positive perception and negative perception on support. Okay, in view, here you have a view button, and this in view you can see the different result here to interpret the result of analysis. The first one is view general result. We can see some general information, the version of WarpPLS used, type of license, and especially here you can see general model elements, the missing data algorithm, outer model algorithm, default for inner model algorithm, and resampling method, number of resample, and number of cases. Number of cases, your data, your sample size. So in this window, you can see some general information for your analysis. Okay, and you have a different option to see the result. Now I want to let me go back to the PowerPoint here, and brief explanation about assessment of measurement model and assessment of structural model. Okay, when we...
Somebody is asking, please show us how you calculated it.
Calculate what?
I guess that perform SEM, you clicked on it. Gina calls in, it says, please show us how you calculated it in this one.
Okay, let me back to...
They must have missed it. Probably, yeah, that one.
Okay.
Yep.
Last step was proceed to step 5. When we created model in step 4, just click on proceed to step 5, this icon, and just perform the analysis. Okay, and perform SEM analysis. When we click on perform SEM analysis, this window will appear here, and you can see all result from all PLS result here. So I will explain later that which item you can use for interpreting measurement model and structural assessment of measurement model and structural model. But before that, just want to a brief explanation that for assessment of measurement model and structural model. So I go back to the PowerPoint. For assessment of model using PLS, we need to do two-step assessment. The first step is measurement model assessment, and the second step is a structural model assessment. In measurement model assessment, there are different criteria for reflective and formative construct. For reflective construct, we need to do indicator reliability and construct reliability or internal consistency. And for validity, we need to check convergent validity and discriminant validity based on different criteria. To assess indicator reliability, we need to check the loading of reflective construct. The loading should be higher than 0.7, but higher than 0.4 and is acceptable if the other criteria like composite reliability and average variance extracted or AVE meet the threshold and is higher than threshold. So, but the lower than 0.3 is not acceptable for indicator reliability. For construct reliability, there are some different criteria like Kronbach alpha and composite reliability, and composite reliability is more suitable for PLS. Composite reliability or CR should be higher than 0.7. For convergent validity, AVE should be higher than 0.5. And for discriminant validity, we need to check some criteria like Fornal-Larker criterion, cross-loading, and one recent criterion called HTMT, heterotrait monotrait ratio, for discriminant validity. So the first step is assessment of measurement model. And for reflective construct, we need to check these criteria for measurement model. So back to a result of WarpPLS. Result of WarpPLS. So the first thing is assessment of check the loading. Okay. So here in view, all things, all result of WarpPLS in this view window. In view, you can check in this section, view indicator loading and cross loading. You can see the loading of each construct. But WarpPLS provide different option for loading: combined loading, normalized combined, pattern, structure. The best one is combined loading that use correlation for loading and The cross-loading is the result after oblique rotation. So we choose view combined loading and see the result here. The values within the brackets are loading of items of positive perception. So the loading all are higher than 0.7, so is acceptable. And for negative perception also, and for support. So you can see the result all are higher than 0.4, most of them higher than 0.7, and some of them is not higher than 0.7, but higher than 0.4, and need to check CR and AVE for convergent validity and construct reliability. So this is the first step for assessment of measurement model. For convergent validity and construct reliability, we need to check CR and AVE. Here, view latent variable coefficient. Latent variable coefficient, you can see all the criteria that you need to assess convergent validity and construct reliability here. You can check the composite reliability, higher than 0.7, Kornbach alpha, and average variance extracted or AVE higher than 0.5. So the result confirmed the validity and the reliability and convergent validity of these three constructs, these three reflective constructs. But one more things need to be checked for measurement model. It's discriminant validity. Discriminant validity show the differences between construct, and the construct, the distinction between construct and construct should be enough different to include the model. So for discriminant validity, we need to check other option here, view latent variable coefficient. Correlation among latent variable. This option gives you the information that you need for Follner-Larker criterion. This table show the value, show the correlation, and in diagonal you can, within the bracket in diagonal, the value is square root of AVE. For discriminant validity, the square root of AVE of each construct should be higher than correlation of this construct with other construct. For example, here square root is 0.774, and the correlation is 0.14 and 0.302. So the square root of AVE is higher than correlation with other construct, and also for other construct. So need to check the discriminant validity based on this Follner-Larker criterion that we can find here. And for cross-loading, if you want to check cross-loading, also you can back to indicator loading and cross-loading and see the cross-loading of all indicator here.
Dr. Mostafa?
Yes.
Quickly, couple of questions here. What happens if you have extremely high Kornbach alpha greater than 0.98 or 0.99?
High Kornbach alpha and composite reliability is a sign of redundancy within a reflective construct. So if we get high Kornbach alpha or composite reliability, we need to remove some items from the reflective construct. So it means that some of the items are exactly similar or same construct and should be removed.
Okay, thank you. Another quick question here, how to handle a model with dichotomous endogenous variable in WarpPLS? I don't know if this is related to what you are telling, but...
Okay, let me explain these basic steps, because this question is an advanced question in PLS, and Later I will talk about it.
Sure, we'll go back. And there's some other questions, but I'm going to ask them at the end, yeah.
Okay. So based on this step, we can check the measurement model in WarpPLS. Just want to show something interesting here. When you look at the latent variable coefficient option here, addition to composite reliability AVE, you can see many useful information here that WarpPLS provide. For each latent variable, you can see minimum, maximum, median, mode, skewness, cortices, and some other different methods to assess normality of latent variable. And also you can click on view and see the distribution of latent variable. So based on this information, you can check the normality in different ways. I understand PLS, we no need to check the normality, but very high non-normal data also maybe make some problem in PLS. So sometimes it's useful to check the normality of latent variable. Okay. So after assessment of measurement model, we need to check a structural model. A structural model or inner model need to check some criteria like R square, the value of R square. There are different idea about the value of R square. So the value of R square totally depend on the area of your research. Some research in behavioral science and like consumer behavior say the R square higher than 0.2 is good enough and acceptable and can be considered large. But some study in marketing say the value of 0.6 or 0.7 can be considered high, and the value of 0.2 for R square is low. But it depends on the area of study and the independent variable you involve, because including larger number of variable will increase the R square. So it depends on your study. Another things that should be checked in the structural model and important things is pad coefficient and significance of pad coefficient. WarpPLS provide pad coefficient and p-value together here, and based on this you can check the value of pad coefficient and the significance level of pad coefficient. For this study, these two values, p-value for these two relationships are significant. Okay, now want to show you some interesting things in WarpPLS, and it's very important. Okay, WarpPLS provide for you a different algorithm for outer model and inner model. So if you click here in setting section and view or change general setting, you can see three options here. These three sections give you different options for outer model. So here you can select different algorithms for outer model. For example, if I can select PLS mode A, here is a traditional algorithm for PLS, and here you can select the inner model algorithm. I click on linear inner model algorithm, and also resampling method. You can select bootstrapping, jackknifing, blindfolding, and three stable resampling. That's a combination of this resampling method. So I select PLS mode A and linear and save. And again, I proceed to perform SEM. Here, the result is different to previous result. But now I keep this result, this window here. And okay, just change in this setting section, change linear to warp3. WarpPLS provide different algorithm for inner model that addition to linear, warp2 and warp3 are non-linear algorithm for inner model. warp2 represent U-curve or J-curve relationship between construct, and warp3 represent S-curve relationship between construct. So if we set on warp3, save the result, and okay, again do the analysis. Okay, so you can see the result here totally different with the linear result. So, okay, I put 2 here. R square totally increase, and R square now is 0.27. Path coefficient for effect of positive perception support increase a bit, and the effect of negative perception on support increase. And when you select nonlinear, you can see the result totally change. Sometimes you can get significant result based on nonlinear, but for linear, you cannot get significant result. Let me show a plot for linear relationship here. Okay. In view section, another part is view plot, linear or nonlinear relationship among latent variable. So when you perform the analysis, you can see the plot for relationship, and this can help to interpret the result. Okay, when you click on this, relation between positive perception and support is warp. Warp means non-linear, and also negative perception and support. If you click on warped, okay, so you can see here the relationship between negative perception and support is a nonlinear curve, is a nonlinear relationship. In this for plot, you can see you have different options to see the plot. One of the interesting is review relationship with data point, unstandardized, and with legend. So if you click on this one, you can see the data point and the relation between negative perception and support. So if you want to interpret this result, it means the relationship between negative perception and support is not positive or negative for all respondents. This result shows the effect of the relation between support and negative perception is negative for some part of respondents, and this relationship is positive for other part. How we can interpret? Until a specific amount of negative perception, this relationship is negative. So means for the respondent, for the resident with the lower negative perception, when the negative perception increase, the support will decrease. But higher than a specific amount of negative perception, the relation between negative perception and support will be positive. It means that the residents with high negative perception, they will support tourism development. Why? The possible reason is when the negative perception is very high, they support tourism and try to involve to decrease the negative impact of tourism development. So nonlinear relationship can be interpreted and can give more information for interpreting the behavior of respondents. Another important thing here for...
Sorry, when do you say it's non-linear or linear? When do you say that?
Sometimes based on the literature, we can understand the nonlinear relationship. A previous study or theory that we use mentioned the relationship is nonlinear relationship. Sometimes we don't have any evidence from the literature. We can perform linear and nonlinear and see the differences between linear and nonlinear and interpret based on the plot and based on the final result.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, one interesting things here, one more interesting things for nonlinear, for this plot, provide also WarpPLS. Another plot is a focus relationship with segments. If you click on this one, you can see the beta coefficient and p-value for different parts. So here you can see the relationship is different for the different respondents. This plot and this segmentation can be a very good replacement for unobserved heterogeneity. This curve shows the relationship between support and negative perception is different in different part for different respondents. So you can see and you can detect non-observed heterogeneity among the respondent based on this graph. Okay, this is interpreting of using nonlinear and interpret the result based on nonlinear relationship. Okay. So you can find the data for assessment of measurement model and structural model from this part. And also you can save the data here, save all model estimating to tab delimited the text file. And when you click here, you can save the results and open the result in Excel file and use the result to report in your paper and your thesis. Okay. I don't know, I have time. I wanted to do another analysis by WARP. Dr. Chihan, if I have time, I can continue at least with the one.
Right. Dr. Mostafa, yes, please do it, but maybe try to do it as quickly as possible. We are normally have another 15 minutes for questions, and I have some questions for you. Please do it quickly.
Okay.
That will be very
just want to introduce a moderator in the WarpPLS and conclude moderator.
I think that's a great idea. Please.
Okay. If you have moderator in your study and you want to include the moderator, okay. To do any changes in your model, you need to go to step 4. So click on step 4 and go to this window to change the framework here. Now I want to introduce a moderator to this study. Okay, create a latent variable, create moderator first. So click here. My moderator is a construct, is a reflective construct with some indicator, economic gain. I want to introduce economic gain as a moderator in this study. So add 3 indicator for economic gain and reflective. Say now you created the economic gain or your moderator. Here, moderating, you can see another option, moderating link option. Click on moderating link and create moderating effect. Okay. click on the moderator and just click on the relationship that you want to assess. All will be created automatically here. So now you created moderator for this study, and save model and close. And proceed again to step 5, perform SEM analysis. Okay, now you can see the result of moderator. The p-value, path coefficient of interaction effect or moderator is 0.09, and the p-value is 0.1. So economic gain is not significant moderator for the relationship between negative perception and support. But you can see the result here. But one interesting thing for moderator, if you have a moderator in your model, in this section, plot, linear, nonlinear, if you click on the plot, also you can see the plot for moderator. But plot for moderator is also VARP. I don't like VARP compared between nonlinear relationship for moderator. So I go back here. I want to show you something. If you back to setting, addition to general setting that set outer model algorithm and inner model for whole model, you have another option, change individual inner model. Okay, if you click on this, here you can select different inner model algorithm for each relationship. Now I change the interaction effect to linear. Okay, and say perform the analysis. Okay, and see the p-value is higher and the beta coefficient is lower, non-significant. So you can see the result of moderator here. But one interesting thing for moderator, if you click on plot and click on plot for interaction for moderator, okay. WarpPLS provide some interesting plots for moderator. This is a 3D plot for moderator, and you can see the relationship between negative perception and support for different values of economic gain in this 3D plot. You can rotate the plot and see the differences when economic gain change. But also you can see some traditional plot like here you can see two the plots, two lines together. These two lines represent relation between negative perception and support. For the respondent, the black one is for high economic gain. For the respondent with high economic gain, divided the software automatically divided this moderator in two parts, high value and low value, and draw this line based on this high and low value. The red one is for low economic gain, and the black one is for high economic gain. So you can see the relation between negative perception and support for the respondent and for resident with low economic gain and high, and compare these two together. Here you can see the slope of these two lines is not much different. So this moderator is not a significant moderator for the relation between negative perception and support. Okay, and WarpPLS also is very interesting to perform a mediator on, but now we have no time to perform mediator. Can deal with the complex mediator. And one more things that I want to introduce here, WarpPLS-6. There are many amazing new features in WarpPLS-6 that you can use for different analysis, like calculate power analysis, can give you t-value and confidence interval, and conditional probabilistic query. One of the participants asked about dichotomous endogenous variable. There are two ways to deal with dichotomous endogenous variable in WarpPLS. The first thing is WarpPLS use warp-tree and S-curve for relationship between construct. If the endogenous variable is dichotomous, so we can use warp-tree algorithm for Enel model. Warp-tree can handle dichotomous endogenous construct. Another thing that is provided in WarpPLS-6 is probabilistic query, and by this option you can calculate the probability of endogenous construct when your IV is you can set the IV in a specific value and see the dependent variable. This option can be used for analysis of dichotomous endogenous variable. And also another option in WarpPLS-6, multigroup analysis, measurement invariance testing, and other option that you can see some videos for. Okay, here this is the website. This is the weblog for WarpPLS. In this weblog, you can find many interesting videos for different features of WarpPLS, especially for WarpPLS-6. Here you can find some video clips that provided by Professor Ned Cook, developer of WarpPLS, for new features of WarpPLS-6. At the end, just wanted to introduce workshop that will be conducted by Professor Ned Cook for WarpPLS-6 in 12 and 13 of August in Penang, Malaysia, that maybe if somebody interested, especially around the Malaysia, can attend this workshop. Okay. Dr. Chihan.
Dr. Mostafa, thank you. Let me read some of the questions to you. Couple of people ask, what's the difference between smart PLS and WarpPLS?
The main differences between a smart PLS and WarpPLS is WarpPLS can deal with nonlinear relationship. And WarpPLS originally called nonlinear variance-based software. So this is the main differences between smart PLS and WarpPLS. Also, WarpPLS provide different features and criteria like full collinearity. Introduced by WarpPLS for first time, and the full collinearity is a good criterion to assess lateral and vertical collinearity, and can use for a discriminant validity assessment when the model include formative and reflective construct. So far, the criteria for discriminant validity just can deal with the reflective construct and single item construct, but full collinearity is capable to assess the discriminant validity for a model including reflective and formative.
Thank you, Dr. Mostafa. Another question, you answered like several people. Okay, for there was one question earlier, how to handle a model with dichotomous endogenous variable in WarpPLS. I don't know if this is too advanced for this seminar or not, but I know that we talked about having another one, advanced WarpPLS. But if please feel free to either reply at this time or maybe later.
Prof. John, I answered this question for dichotomous endogenous variable.
Okay, and another person, again, I don't know if you answered or not, but can we perform HTMT in WarpPLS?
So far, no. HTMT is not possible by WarpPLS, but maybe in next version of WarpPLS, developer can provide HTMT.
Okay, another one in a nutshell, I don't know. For inner model analysis, may I know which analysis algorithms, linear, WarpII, WarpII basic, WarpIII basic is preferable? Consider the best. What would you say?
The best one is WarpIII. When you use WarpIII, WarpIII is S-curve and more complex inner model algorithm, and WarpIII include linear and WarpII. So the best one is WarpIII, and the default of WarpPLS also is WarpIII algorithm.
Okay, thank you. I am also checking Facebook to see if there's any questions. I think we answered all questions, Dr. Mostafa. I would like to thank you, and the timing is perfect. And I also invite, if there is anybody else would like to ask last minute questions. Otherwise, I want to tell everybody that we will be sending you the recorded webinar, what we have done, for those of you who may want to do it again or later, or who couldn't come today. And also, Dr. Mostafa, they asked the PPT. We will coordinate with you to also include the PPT, what you have used in this webinar with the other one.
Okay.
Okay. ANAHEI so much to all of the attendees, and of course, Dr. Mostafa, thank you for your expertise and sharing your knowledge with the ANAHEI members. I would like to thank everybody for joining today's webinar. Sorry for the technical problems in the beginning, but it worked out very, very nice. A lot of people, Dr. Mostafa, is thanking you for a wonderful webinar. But I appreciate one more time your time and sharing your expertise. Those of you, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you might be in the different parts of the world, please watch more webinars that are coming on July 20. We're going to have with Jason Shao, the editor of Academy of Management, and more to come. Please watch us at anahei.org, ANAHEI.org. Have a wonderful day. Dr. Mostafa, any final words from you?
Just thank you very much for this amazing platform, for sharing, and thank you very much for the participant. I hope they benefit from this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.